So we're in the fourth of the 10 sessions for the writings. This this material for some people is very, very well known. For some, it's not very well known at all. I don't think we have many readings. We have a very few readings from the book of Proverbs in the Sunday morning lessons. We're going in the order, the closest we can, of the way the books are put together in the Hebrew Bible. Okay, that's the pattern that I've generally been following all the way through. So people a long time ago said, why haven't we done Ruth yet? You skipped Ruth, or you skipped Lamentations, or you skipped Esther. In the Hebrew Scriptures, you've got three sections: the Law, the Prophets, and the Writings, the Torah, the Devarim, and the Ketuvim. And the Law is Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. The Prophets are Joshua, Judges, 1 and 2 Samuel, 1 and 2 Kings, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Hosea through Malachi. So there are some things, well, what happened to 1st, 2nd Chronicles? Well, those are all coming yet. Because the two sections that I mentioned, the Law and the Prophets, in fact, Jesus sometimes will talk about the Law and the Prophets and the Psalms as a third section rather than the writings. And writings are just other things. We've got some history in there. We've got some wisdom literature in there, and some Psalms, of course, that we have. But as it's put together, we begin to realize that the Bible has a whole lot of different what they call genres. So you've got history. You've got instruction that a lot of people call law. You have hymns, some of lament, some of praise. Here we get to a kind of a unique bunch of stuff. We are going to see something similar to it when we get to Ecclesiastes. We will see something similar to it, though in some ways also different when we get to Song of Solomon. We'll have narrative stuff in Ruth and in Esther. We'll have a 5-chapter lament about the fall of Jerusalem in Lamentations. We'll have Ezra and Nehemiah. We'll have a book that a lot of people number among the prophets, Daniel, but Daniel is seen as a different type of literature. And then we're going to have at the very end 1st and 2nd Chronicles, even though 1st and 2nd Chronicles comes historically before Ezra and Nehemiah. And then I'm going to just do a little bit of a wrap-up at the end with some of the books that we talk about that are in the Apocrypha that Roman Catholic Bibles would consider as part of the inspired word, and that Luther said, well, the Jewish people didn't consider it inspired, we're not going to use it for teaching doctrine. So 1st and 2nd Maccabees, Judith, Tobit, and a few other things that we'll just mention enough so that you at least know that they exist. In addition to that, there are a lot of other books that are not in the Jewish scriptures or in even the most expanded Hebrew scriptures, and those are called the pseudepigrapha. And I will bring a couple of volumes down that have those in them, and there are things you've probably never heard of. But books about the ascension of Isaiah, and the book of the, what do they call it? The Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, Reuben and Simeon and Levi and Judah and all of that, and other writings that were put together after the Jews came back from exile, but that aren't considered sacred or inspired by anybody. Luther said about the books in the Apocrypha, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the details of them, but he said they're good to find out what was the historical time period, what was going on during that time period, how did people deal with the return from exile, and yet not everything had happened the way they had looked for it. So it's not like there's a big vacuum of writing, or that the only things that are recorded from the ancient world are the things that are inspired. There's lots and lots of other stuff. The 2 volumes on the pseudepigrapha are this big.
Where does the book of Enoch come from?
That's in there too.
In the Pseudo?
In the pseudepigrapha, which means it's given someone else's name. Enoch didn't write the book of Enoch, but it talks about visions and things like that, and Esdras is in there as well. We'll get there. So, we do have this as part of the inspired writings, and I like to start this section off just with a little bit of random thinking about today, because proverbial wisdom is the kind of stuff, in many ways, that makes sense to people of all faiths, all religions, all ways of life. You don't have to be a Christian to agree with a lot of what's in the book of Proverbs. You don't have to be Jewish to agree with a lot of what's there. But from your own experience as you were growing up, what kind of little short sayings do you remember? Little proverbial sayings. I'll give you one to start, okay? A stitch
Time saves nine.
A stitch in time saves nine. Now, what in the world does that mean?
Fix it sooner rather than later.
Fix it sooner rather than later. If you've got a piece of cloth that's opening up a little bit, get the needle out and sew it. A stitch in time right now will save doing 9 later. And it's not just about sewing. It's about anything. So if you've got a leak in your roof, it may not make sense to say a stitch in time saves 9, but if you're replacing the whole roof because one shingle is off and you didn't go fix it, the application would be the same. Parentheses or brackets, don't be lazy. Okay, do something now, all right? Some other ones that you,
An apple a day.
an apple a day
Keeps the doctor
keeps
away.
the doctor away. Is that correct?
Not really.
Not literally.
You did a study on it and it didn't work.
They did a study on it, and it didn't work about an apple a day. Thank you for that, Gene. Now I don't have to, what am I gonna do with all those apples at home now?
You know,
Make apple pie and just enjoy it, right?
Yeah, there you go.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, apple a day keeps the doctor away. In essence, eat fruit and it'll help you stay healthy,
Right.
all right? Okay, another one.
Many are called.
Huh?
Many are called. But
That's a biblical one.
I know.
I don't want biblical ones.
Oh,
I don't want many are called, but few are chosen. I want just the kind of things that we learned when we were kids that won't apply anywhere. Yes, Harry?
Laughter is good medicine.
Laughter is good medicine.
Yep.
Laughter is good medicine, okay?
That's true.
Well,
That's biblical again.
um,
Do unto others as you would, well, there are people who say do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And Jesus talks about that even as the golden rule. Hillel, I think, was the one who said, don't do to someone else what you don't want done to you, the negative form of that. But I'm thinking more just of the kind of stuff in our daily life.
don't put the cart before the horse.
Don't put the cart before the horse. What does that one mean?
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Don't get ahead of yourself. All right, so my kids had a few rabbits, and so in their mind, they are going to be making hundreds of dollars selling rabbits.
Oh.
Okay, well, how about all the money it's going to take to build the hutch for all of them, and all the rest of that, and to whom are you going to sell them, and all of that kind of stuff. Didn't quite work out that way. But don't put your cart before, or don't put your cart before the horse, or don't count
your chicken.
Chickens before the eggs are.
before they're
Or your
hatched.
rabbits for that.
Which would be another thing where you think, oh, I'm gonna make a whole bunch of money on this, and you don't know exactly how it's all gonna work out yet. So we can use that a lot of different ways. We don't just have to use it if we have chickens or rabbits. But don't count your chickens before they're hatched. Says be very careful about making assumptions that may not play out. Okay, so that's the team that gets a new hitter. Says, oh, we're gonna win 30 more games this year. Don't count your chickens before they're hatched. Let's see at the end of the season how you did. Okay? Somebody once said, as you go to bed at night, write down everything you did, cross it off, and then you'll feel good about how you completed your list. Don't write it down at the beginning of the day and feel grumpy by the end of the day, you only got part of it done. So don't write it down until you're done. Okay, some others.
No matter where you go, there you are. Pretty profound, isn't it? Yeah.
Everyone has to be someplace, here's where I am. Now, does that have any meaning? Does it have any application, any wisdom sense to it?
Of presence, I think it has some, have to do with your presence.
Okay,
So, doesn't, no matter where I am, I have to be present.
okay,
you know,
all right,
to be in that moment or whatever.
okay, or enjoy the present,
Yeah.
I
okay.
have a musical one from Campfire Girls. Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other's old.
Okay, make new friend, okay. From Campfire, I never was a Campfire girl, but I do know that song. They must have used it at LSV camp or something too. Some others.
Penny saved is a penny earned.
A penny saved is a penny earned. What does that one mean?
Save your money. Save your money.
Really?
Interest?
Really? I don't think so.
Is it about interest?
I'm not so sure.
Yeah,
A
just
penny-
being wise with your spending.
Well, this would be Kathy using a coupon. Where if you save a penny on something, it's as if you earned it and spent it. So a penny saved, if I can buy something for 80 cents instead of $1, it's as if I earned that other 20 cents. So a penny saved, so see the question here is it a penny saved in a piggy jar, in a piggy bank, or is it a penny saved in the store?
Right.
Okay?
All
And
the
I
above.
think it's in the store. A penny saved is a penny earned. Look for things on sale. Don't pay the high price. It's as if you worked a lot harder to pay the higher price and you didn't have to work so hard. So find the easiest way to make the money, all right? People who clip coupons, in essence, that's different than if they would be out working and have to make the money and then pay the higher price for it. Kathy's not happy with me. I go in the store when I need something, I buy it. You know? It's not that I don't want, that I want to waste money. It's that I don't have a whole lot of time to go wandering around to 4 stores to see if something is a nickel cheaper or a dime cheaper. So I'm not gonna drive all the way out 36 to Fleet Farm to get my gas, even though I know that in general it's usually a few cents cheaper than around here. Both time-wise and gas-wise, I probably have not saved any money. Okay, yes, Don?
You'll find most stores, or a lot of those stores now, when they get you your receipt, down at the bottom says, you saved this much.
That's
money."
right.
Circulars.
That's
Kind
right.
of a joke too, but yeah.
No, it's not. I bought 3 pairs of shorts and it says I saved $78.
Well, now here's the deal. Here's what bothers me about that one, okay? You can set any price you want for selling something.
Right.
And then, so if I made something for $3.95 and I put it on the market for 20 and I drop it down to 15 and everyone says, oh, we're getting a good deal on this one, you get suckered by what the original price was, which was way too high. I watch sometimes, what's the show with Shark Tank, thank you very much. Where they're always talking about how much does it cost to make you this, or how much does it cost you to make this, how much are you gonna sell it for? And I caught a little bit of it the other day, and some lady wanted to sell some crazy looking horsey kind of thing for $200. And they said most people aren't gonna buy anything for their kid for more than about $100. And if you threw in that stuff all with it, then maybe they would buy it. And so most of the time, the people who are on Shark Tank think they're smarter than the sharks, and often walk away saying, well, they just don't understand. The sharks may be a little wiser. I don't know anything about how much to charge for something and all of the rest of that. That's just not my world. It could be, it just never was. And so when I was a paper boy, it was easy. I sold the Detroit News for 60 cents a week when we started. And I said, there's $1.50 worth of coupons in the paper each week.
Right,
If you use half of the coupons, the paper is free.
that's my.
That was my marketing technique, okay? And so if it's things that you need, well, what do they want you to do when you go into a store? They want you to spend a lot of money on a lot of things. So they draw you in on something, and either they bait and switch you, and you see something much better, or they think, well, you know, if you come in for the milk or the eggs or the cheese, whatever, then you're gonna go buy another $20 worth of stuff, and we're gonna stick it to you for that, and we'll make money in the end. So when I do go to store, if I do know something's on sale, that's all I buy.
Right.
So they look at me and they say, I wish he hadn't come, you know? But they're still probably making money on me, okay? Just not as much as they would. Or some other of these kind of one-liner things.
The grass was always greener.
The grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. What does that one mean?
They forgot to water the grass on the side door.
That's what Kathy saw a cartoon once where it said, if the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, get out the hose.
Yeah.
But what does that mean?
You're never happy with what you have.
Never happy with what you have.
Yeah.
No matter what you have, you see somebody else, you say, boy, they're sure doing a lot better than I am. Well, somebody else is looking at you and saying the same thing.
It's kind of coveting, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
Coveting?
In some ways, that's coveting, yeah. It just, coveting actually also gets into finding a way to get what the other one has. So it's not just wishing I had it.
Jealousy, maybe jealousy.
Well, jealousy and conniving to try and get it. My dad used to say, if wishes,
Or fishes.
huh?
We'd all go.
If wishes were what?
We used to say, if wishes were fishes, we'd all go to the lake.
Aha! Well, my dad did the, if wishes were horses, beggars would ride portion of it. I never heard of if
I've never
fishes
heard
were
the other
wishes,
one.
we'd all go to the lake. It's nice.
It was the South Dakota thing.
Do they have any lakes up there? Oh. Kind of like Iowa, you know when you get to Minnesota, when you're flying, you start seeing water and you got into Minnesota from Iowa. All right, so any others you can think of?
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Oh, yeah.
Primarily because you might
Fall.
fall,
Stumble.
trip, plop them all down. So, in the stocks then, what do? Diversify. Don't put all of your money in one company, okay? Because if that company has a bad quarter, goes down, you've lost everything then. All right, so people who live
In glass houses.
Shouldn't
Glass
throw stones,
houses.
yeah. Shouldn't throw stones.
shouldn't throw stones. Well, what's that one all about? I don't know about be a hypocrite, but,
Beware of what might come back to
Be
you.
aware of your surroundings, I think.
well, I think it's, don't be always accusing other people of things.
Well, yeah.
Because if you're always finding fault with someone else, they're sure as shooting gonna be looking for catching you. Okay, so people who live in glass houses, people who are in a position where people can watch them should not be finding fault with everyone else, because it's gonna come around and it is gonna get them. Okay, somebody's gonna find fault with them. So don't act high and mighty and that you've got it all together, would be the kind of framework for that one, at least as I understand it. Some other
So
ones.
that's sort of like taking care of your own backyard first, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but also realizing that the wisest person is not the one who finds fault in everyone else. I remember once a lady was talking about the members of a church, not this one, but was talking about this and that about each person, kind of reading the riot act about the way they did things. And at first I said to myself, I've never really noticed all that stuff about other people. Then I said, I'm really glad I didn't, because they're just finding fault with everybody and seeing how they can look better by making other people look worse. And sooner or later, everyone gets caught. Everyone, the truth will out at some point. Yes?
My mother used to say, walk a mile in their shoes.
Walk a mile in their
Walk a
shoes.
mile in their precious.
And time is more precious than money, okay? Walk a mile in their shoes, explain that one.
Don't be critical of someone until you've done, put yourself in their place.
Okay, don't be critical till you put yourself in their place. And that is so easy. To simply say, well, they're just lazy, or they're just no good, or they can't figure things out. Without knowing how much is going into what they are accomplishing. And so it's very easy to be dismissive of people when we don't want to carry them on our heart. And the other one, time is more precious than money. Okay,
Be careful what you wish for.
yeah, you may get it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
What you say may come back to haunt you.
Yeah.
What you do may come back to haunt you.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, sticks and stones.
Sticks and stones
Sticks and stones may break my
but
bones.
words will never harm me.
Really?
And that's a false statement.
I never figured that out either, because words have hurt me a lot.
Right.
I guess, you know, if someone is just finding fault with you, but they're not hitting you, you know, you don't have to let it destroy you. I do use that one very often when people are struggling with the fact that some people don't like them.
That's what that is.
And so when we say, you know, and for me, if the Lord died and rose for us and gives us life everlasting, and He's the judge, then what other people think, it doesn't mean we have a right to be foolish and stupid, but what other people think is always out of their framework that may not be our framework. So somebody might say, what are you wasting your time doing that for? And it might be a real pleasure. It might be a way to kill time or whatever. So my dad, after he retired, did lots and lots of puzzles. And what are you wasting your time doing that for? Or doing the crossword puzzles? Well, it was a way for him to occupy himself with something. He had fun doing it, it filled his time. So what if you don't like it? It doesn't matter if you like it, you know, affirm them for what they are enjoying doing, etc. Any others?
Look before you leap.
Look before you leap. Especially when you're diving into water.
Yeah.
Yes. And there are people who have had real sad experiences with that one. All right, any others?
One good turn deserves another.
One good turn deserves another. Okay?
Well, then,
Huh? It's kind of like payback, I think. Somebody does something good. You know, it's nice to do something good for them. And not just to always be assuming that everyone else just loves wearing themselves out. I learned early on as a paper boy, the most important words I could say are thank you. I said thank you 130 times a week, as they paid me. So I learned very early to say thank you. There's nothing, it doesn't hurt any to appreciate the fact that someone has paid you. Any others?
I hear people saying, what goes around comes around, and I'm not exactly sure what they mean.
That's really where Proverbs is kind of going as well. What you sow, you reap.
Mhm. Is that connected with the concept of karma too? That
Well, the Bible would use the word retribution and not necessarily karma.
is that kind of teleological
It's
thinking?
teleological thinking, yes. Remember that later this afternoon, okay? Because we'll come back to that some. All right, now I have a different question for you. Because wisdom comes in a couple of different packages. Those are all just the kind of aphorisms, they call them, just little sayings that people will use to try to get a point across. What you sow, you reap, and some of the other ones that have been mentioned that are in the Bible, those are there as well. But it's a kind of a thing where people have kind of figured it out about exactly how things work in this world, or they have ideas about how something will work out. And so a lot of people will do the teaching, and they'll say, you know, watch out for this. And so if I want someone not to be lazy, then I may talk to them about a stitch in time saves 9. Or if I want them to be less condemnatory of other people, then people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. So there will be certain behaviors that we don't like. And we'll try to use a little saying to counteract that. To say, that's not the smart way to live, that's not the smart thing to do. So we're trying to get someone to hold back from doing foolish things or to do good things by simply giving a little instruction. Does it work?
Not usually.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, not usually. It depends on what's in someone's heart. It depends on whether they want to listen. There's a passage in here that says the wise person seeks improvement, wants someone to help them and figure out what they're doing, instead of someone who says, I'm doing it my way and that's it. And I don't care what you think, I'm going to do it my way. I think Shark Tank is a really good example of that.
Yeah.
Of people who will have their own ideas and have owned them and decide, well, I'm going to keep my idea or I'm willing to listen. I've never, as far as I can remember, and I don't see that all the time, but I never remember anybody who was given an offer by one of the sharks where they took it right away. They would say, well, wait a minute, I don't think you should have 50% of my business, maybe you could have 33%, or maybe you could have 20%. And the sharks, well, you valued your business at $2 million, I think it's worth about 8,000, you know.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
And so there will be things where people will have different viewpoints and different ideas. Our political system is such that we have all sorts of different ideas about how to resolve the challenges we face and what we think are even the challenges. But let's go a different direction now, because not only these little short sayings, we also have stories that we tell. Usually these are stories from when we are young, stories that our parents will read to us. And some of them are just stories, some of them have a lesson to them. So I'm going to start out with my favorite one, Little Red Riding Hood.
Which version?
Huh?
Which version?
Well, there are more versions than most of us even know.
Right.
It goes all the way back to her being raped back in the Middle Ages for Little Red Riding Hood. And Grandma doesn't just get gobbled up by the big bad wolf. In the most sanitized version, she gets shoved into a closet. If the guy's hungry, I'm gonna eat Grandma up right away. Why doesn't he eat Little Red Riding Hood up on the road? But anyway, tell me the story.
The story of Little Red Riding Hood?
Yeah,
I think we just said that.
nobody knows it, huh?
Yes.
which version
Which
version you want?
Try your own version, I don't care.
Isn't Grandma ill or something?
Grandma's
She's
ill.
Sent to, Little Red Riding Hood is sent to carry a care package.
care package.
To her.
Little Red Riding Hood is sent to take a basket of goodies to Grandma who's sick and can't make her own food, okay?
Wolf comes to Grandma, gets Grandma out of bed, he gets into the bed with
Wait a minute, wait, we haven't even got her out of the house
You're
yet.
almost gonna finish.
Yeah,
We haven't got who out of the house, Little Red Riding Hood?
Yeah.
Oh,
So tell me more.
She meets the wolf, how does she?
Now we're in trouble.
She what?
Does she meet?
Now
the
we're in
wolf?
trouble because
Oh,
Kathy says then she meets the wolf. Tell me more.
Stay on the path.
Huh?
Stay on the path through the woods.
Who says that?
Mom.
Her mother.
Her mother says either stay on the path through the woods or stay on the path around the woods, don't go through the woods, or if you go through the woods, don't
Leave the path.
talk to
Strangers.
strangers. Well, once he introduces himself, he's not a stranger anymore, right?
Right, right.
That's the point of it. The rest of it is just the details. The German version that I've read with some German students is altogether different. It has a whole different kind of a bent to it, but it's the same result. She lets out the story that her mother or grandma is ill. The big bad wolf in the version we had when we were kids swallows up Grandma, who miraculously, after the woodman comes and saves Little Red Riding Hood, who has heard from Grandma, Grandma what big?
Eyes use.
The better to,
See?
what big?
Ears.
I don't know.
The better to, what big
T,
you have, the better to gobble you up.
Yeah.
At which point, the woodman hears the screams, comes into the house, kills the big bad wolf, and out pops grandma
Oh.
out of the belly of
Oh,
the wolf. Huh?
okay.
All right? That's my version. I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
Now, the point of the story is listen to your mother. Almost never, when I try a crowd that hasn't heard me ask this before, do I ever have somebody talk about mother telling her some
I
instructions?
don't remember it.
Huh?
I don't remember it at all.
That's the whole point of the story. It's the point of all those stories. And you know what people say? Oh, those are scary stories. You shouldn't read those to children. They were supposed to be scary stories. That was the whole point of them. Listen to your mother. That was the whole reason for telling it. And I don't remember much about the gingerbread kids, but there's something about them as well where they get themselves in trouble. And how about the three little oinkers? Yeah, the three little pigs. What's the story? What's that story about?
Beats me.
Huh?
Deals with the type of house you build.
Which one?
Yeah.
the one that built his.
The brick
With a house out of brick and straw.
Firmly and
That one.
strong.
Well, the one builds his house of straw, the other builds his house of sticks, the other builds his house of bricks.
Yeah.
The one gets the job done very quickly and sits back to celebrate. The next one took a little bit more work, and here we have a wolf again. So what does a big bad wolf do? First of all, he huffs and he puffs, and the straw house,
Blows the house down.
I like that. He blows the house down. And the second one, the house of sticks, he blows and he knocks the house down, and pigs number 1 and 2 go running to their brother, and they get into his house just in the nick of time, and then the big bad wolf huffs and he,
Puffs.
that's enough.
Don't wear yourself out.
Don't wear myself out, that's all the air I got, that's all my lift. But anyway, what's the point of the story? Do a job well the first time.
Right.
So the short version of that is a stitch in time saves 9. The more extended version says, I'm going to tell you a story. The Bible has lots of stories. It doesn't have as much about just a rule about do this or do that. It says, let's talk about how God did this. Let's talk about how God did that. Part of the problem, and we were talking about it just before we got going, is very often when we hear something in our readings in church, we only hear a little bit of it. We don't, unless I stand up and read the whole Bible every Sunday, which I couldn't get done in 24 hours anyway, you have to take out parts of it. You have to look at this aspect or that aspect of it. And so this would say, okay, now let's take this story within its context, within its framework, or else we may not be able to cover the whole thing and make sense of it. So you can pull anything out of context that you want. You might think you're doing right. So if I can preach any text without Jesus dying and rising being necessary, I haven't preached. So if I preach on the book of Proverbs, I'll follow that. And so what is the wisdom and the knowledge of God? That our hearts on their own cannot be at peace with God. I mean, if I read this and I say, well, this is how God says if you do this, then he promises you a good life, then I have distorted the entire text. If I say God has called us, he has wrapped us as his own, he lets us know we don't have to be fighting against everyone else to have peace. This book in many ways is about give us this day our daily bread. How does God help us to settle down, enjoy the life we have, develop it the best we can, struggle with the things that we have to struggle with, but not be constantly thinking that everybody else has it great and we have it just terrible. Within that process, though, if it's not wrapped within the covenant, did any of you get all the way through Proverbs for today?
No.
Okay, did any of you get anywhere in it?
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
struggled a bit. The whole book really doesn't say a single word about Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, or Joseph. Nothing about Moses or David. Mentions Solomon and his wisdom, and we know how smart Solomon was.
He was so smart, he was.
700 wives and 300 wives and 700 concubines, is it, or vice versa?
He was so smart, he was.
Busy.
Anyway, has 1,000 women within his harem. He goes and worships other gods. But it says earlier in the text that he was wise and people came to listen to him in his wisdom. He may have been one who gathered the wise sayings. He might have sent some of his people out, find out all the stories like we just did right now. So we got a little book going of the kind of stories about what is wisdom and what are ways in which we teach people something. But what's the floor under it? Same thing like taking the 10 Commandments, the 10 words. If you don't have the floor under it, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, then we don't need Jesus dying to use the 10 Commandments, which is why they put them up in courtrooms. What good is that, to put that up in a courtroom? It says here are some things that are really bad, but the people who sit there in the courtroom, does reading those help you do them? Does reading a book on exercise help you exercise? I exercised a lot this morning. I picked up the book.
Yeah, that's it.
That's as far as I got. I picked up the
If you have this in your mind and you're teaching, and you look up and you remember God and remember them, then it does help to have them up.
Well, I'm going to say that you have to go farther than that. Not just remember God, but remember that God surrounds you. So this is instruction in a fallen world. This does not tell us how we get redemption. It just says, in general, things go better this direction.
This Proverbs.
The Proverbs,
not
yes.
the 10 Commandments. Okay.
Well, that as well. If God is not my God, then that the law just accuses me and condemns me of being nothing.
Even
So,
their
I'm sorry?
instructions- Even their instructions that are bad to follow.
But can you?
Yeah, I did.
You know, and when Rodney King says, can't we all just get along together?
Yeah,
The answer is no. We can't. I joke on Bible class on Sunday morning once in a while, I don't know if I've mentioned this to you yet. Just think if we became one communal family, how easy it would be to not like each other very soon.
Really.
Because we're each set in our ways, we have certain ways of doing things, and whoever's in charge is not going to do everything the way we want it done. It's bad enough when we get together just once in a while as a congregation. You know, because there will be things, just things that won't sit right with everybody. But how do you go along and get along in life? How do you hold to your principles and yet go ahead? This is what we might call Torah.
Sorry?
Here as well, Torah, T-O-R-A-H, or Torah. The word in Hebrew for throwing something is yara. Y-A-R-A-H, you could write it down if you want to. And yara means you throw something, like throw a ball. In those days, it would have probably been the senior citizens who were the teachers. They would sit on the ground and they'd pick up stones and say, "You kids," because Proverbs is addressed to the young, Job to the suffering, and we're going to see Ecclesiastes to the old, who can't quite figure out exactly what all happened in life. But this is to the young, and so you pick up a stone, you say, you throw it that way. You go that direction, here's what's going to happen. You go that direction, here's what's going to happen. And so there are general things that we know. Our son Daniel went to Central High School. He had a big sack of books on his shoulder every morning when he climbed up those 20 steps or so. I saw other kids going in with a skateboard over their shoulder. well, you're going to expect that they may have a different result in life. Whether or not they're willing to work hard or, just be there. And so, those of you who have been in teaching, and Dale and I have talked a lot about teaching, the hardest thing is to motivate. To get someone to be willing to do it. Once you get them willing to do it, it's easy to teach. They're willing to learn, they're willing to study. But how do you get them from not willing to study to willing to study, to put their time in on it? That's a waste of time. I don't have to know that. What do I need to know that for? And as long as somebody wants to fight what you're attempting to do for them, then the rest of it just plain doesn't matter. Just remember, in John chapter 6, there were people who got sick and tired of listening to Jesus and left. So he threatened their world. He threatened their world view. So it's not like people are just out there in the open, but here the young people are called the petilim, the ones who haven't had much written on their chalkboard yet. And so you hope that you can give some insight, and if someone says, I'm willing to take that will be a blessing for them in their life. The trouble we have in our country is a lot of people say, I have worked hard, and look where it got me. It didn't get me anywhere. People who are graduating from college or grad schools and can't get a job. People who have graduated from a trade school and they can't get work. And so the whole thing about just exactly how hard or easy is this? Well, back in the ancient world, they had work. There was no question about whether they were going to work, because they were going to work on their family homestead. And everybody simply had something to do. There was no Social Security, there was no kind of money that would be taken out of your paycheck before you get it. The family was working together. And many of you, either you or your parents, grew up on farms where it was good to have 8 or 10 kids to help out with the chores. Okay, nowadays, children are more a liability than an asset. They cost us rather than help us. So in other words, we bring them into the world, and we're going to have expenses to help them get their training. It's not going to be just the father who's a potter teaching these kids how to make pottery, so that when they grow up, they know how to make pots like their father did. So a very different kind of thinking, but the wisdom of, well, work hard, do your homework, things like that. As soon as I start saying why, and I don't see any point in it, then it's going to be very hard for anyone to get me motivated to do anything. And so here, this is at least where they're still at an impressionable age. In many ways, it's about their equivalents of the Garden of Eden trees. You're going to see things out there. Watch out not to pick this fruit. This could be dangerous. Watch out for this. If you know that God is guiding you, then you say, okay, now how can I make some sense of life? How can I make some sense of the dangers and the threats? How can I recognize them? And we get too soon old and too late smart about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Things that we don't think are dangerous, and they are. Things that we don't think are foolish, and they are. And things where we just don't know the answer. We just don't know what's the proper way to go about it. So anyway, the first 9 chapters are primarily Little Red Riding Hood type stories, more extended narratives of certain scenarios, and then from 10 to 31, with a couple of exceptions, most of it is just going back and forth, one phrase to another. So as we look at the book of Proverbs, just to look at some of the overview slides here, and then we'll take a break, and then we're going to do some listening to it. There are various collections. There are actually 3 different collections connected with the name Solomon. All right, and 1 to 9:18 is much more of these kind of story things. 10:1 to 22:16 are proverbs that are much more the back and forth, the righteous and the wicked, or the lazy and the energetic and such. Then 25 to 29, it says that the men of Hezekiah collected Proverbs of Solomon. Now that would be a couple hundred years before that he would have spoken them. But it says those were from Solomon as well. You've got shorter stuff in there, 22:17 on into 23:11 are the words of the wise. A couple just verses are the sayings of the wise. 30 verses 1 following talk about the words of Agur, which have a lot of numerative kind of things. The 4 things that I don't understand, and so you've got a snake on a rock and the way of a man with a woman, and so where the 4th one is the important one. The words of Lemuel in chapter 31, and then an acrostic psalm which starts, first verse starts with an aleph, and the next verse with a beit, and the next verse with a gimel, about the psalm on the good wife. Not the good wife on TV, but the real okay, the good wife on TV I couldn't finally stand watching it. Wasn't very good as far as I was concerned. Anyway, so Proverbs can be sayings, they can be commands, they can be admonitions, they can be long poems. Particularly the ones from chapters 10 to 31, they're mostly 2-liners, either in parallel, where they say the same thing in 2 different ways, or in opposition, where the one says something, the other says the very opposite. The way of the righteous is blessed, the way of the wicked is cursed. And so they'll kind of just make observations. And the commands and the admonitions, do it this way, don't do it that way, usually have a motive clause, which means a key clause, because of this. Here's the reason why not to. Goes back to our 4 stages in the prophets. Because they did this and this and this, therefore this is what will come upon them. Stage 2, stage 3. And so in many ways it says, here's the connection between those things, so actions have consequences. And here it's saying you don't have to do everything. Which of our Vikings players had a lot of trouble from the Purple People?
Randy Moss?
Huh?
Randy Moss?
No, earlier than that.
Culpepper.
A lot of trouble what?
With alcohol, drugs.
Eller.
Carl Eller. Carl Eller.
Bill does,
Yeah,
Still does?
I think, yeah.
Well, anyway. If you were going to a banquet about living life, would you rather hear Carl Eller or me?
Eller?
What's for dinner?
Most of us would say, I'd like to go hear Carl Eller. He's gone through all sorts of trouble and made it through. You see, we're more interested in listening to somebody who has had troubles in life and has made it through them than someone who apparently hasn't any trouble. So I have not been arrested for drunk driving yet.
I hope that continues.
Yeah, I've been kind of hoping too. Because nowadays, everyone who arrests me would be younger than me, and that would be kind of embarrassing. And everybody my age, they've retired and sent out to just watch the sun go down, I guess.
You could tell them that you have feelings though, too.
Yes, I'm sure that would be very important. But you see, the thing is, why would we listen to somebody who came back, and point is good, maybe they haven't been able to completely come back from what they had, what they did,
Yeah.
but why listen to all the trouble? Well, here, this says, here's the road not to take. Here's what's going to happen to you down the road there, so don't take that road. Rather than leaving somebody without any insight, we're saying we're going to try and teach you everything we can. And so if we get into an age when we can't teach morals and ethics and all we can teach is content, then we're cheating kids out of a lot of the kind of wisdom and knowledge that would be helpful for them. So when I taught at Oak Park Heights, I used the example of the football, the game of football, and at one point, one of the kids, one of the students who had, it's a long story, but he was in for 102 years. And he never killed anybody. He said, I didn't kill anybody, I'm in for 102 years. That's what happens when you kidnap several different people and take them across state lines. You kind of build up your record.
Federal offense.
Federal offenses, yes. But anyway, he was making a comment one time, he said, well, I guess we got thrown out of the game, huh? Yeah. Well, do you get thrown out of the game or get put in the penalty box when you're a kid and say, I don't like being in the penalty box, you don't get to play? Or if you mouth off to the ump, you don't get to come up to bat again? Or do you find out how you can control yourself? So there are consequences to our behavior. Some of them are built in. Some of them are imposed by others. The Bible here would more talk about the built-in consequences, which in some ways we could call it teleological, but it really almost is more the ontology of being selfish. If my nature is to be selfish and I'm going to do whatever I want to, sooner or later it'll catch up with me. And so this says you have to put the brakes on for yourself, or you have to push hard for yourself. But the rewards very much are talked about in terms of reward and punishment. Life will go well for you with this, life will go poorly for you with this. Trouble is, as the Psalms told us, sometimes you can be as honorable as the day is long, and trouble still come upon you. And it may not be because you were bad. So this is a general statement, but it doesn't always work. So Job and Psalms are the antidote to the book of Proverbs here. But each in their own proper place, to the young and to people who are trying to just live a smart life, this can all be helpful. And the rest of it, the Proverbs are often directed to the young about how to cope with life, and the people who've been around a while are the ones who tell the story, tell the stories. We've learned something. My kids and their cousins used to get a little irritated once in a while listening to Mother Holzel talk about all the dangers in the world. She'd been around for 80 years. She knew the dangerous things that can happen. We all know dangerous things that can happen. Sometimes we do them, sometimes we get in trouble for them because we didn't think it was going to be dangerous, and it was. But hopefully there is some wisdom in it. So I am very, very cautious about how I relate to anybody else in the neighborhood. But I'm watching the little kids from right behind me, like 4, 5, 5, 6 years old, running across the street without looking.
Yeah.
So I said something. See something, say something. All right? So I stopped first of all the boy, then I stopped the little girl, and I said, I watch you guys, you're going across the street to play with your friends over there, and you don't look either way. And there are some crazy drivers around here who drive fast, and they might not see that you're coming from behind that car, and I sure don't want to hear the fire engine screaming and someone coming because you got hit by a car. So here's the deal. Now Dale remembers this as well. I think on the side door of our house, right by the door by the milk chute, I think probably from Wayne Creamery, though it might have been some other creamery. Let's see, Dale. Stop. Look. Stop. Look. Wait. Walk. That was plastered on by the door, on the side door. See, Dale, you must have gone too fast out. That's why you got hit by that car that time. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Not on the way to school, but well, Eagle Pass in the past. But stop, look, wait, walk. So I told them this is what was by our door every day before we went to school. Stop before you cross the street. Look both ways. Wait until it's safe. Walk across the street. Stop, look, wait, walk. Now, I taught the kids that, and I said, run as much as you want to on your sidewalk or across the street. But between the time you're by the car until you get to the other car, stop, look, wait, walk. So I told the boy first, then I told the girl. Now, what happened next?
You got a phone call.
We got hit by a car.
No.
Stranger.
No, they actually, when I see them, they are close to attempting that anyway.
When you see them.
But what, well, I'm not around much. But what did the father say to me?
Got on their
How
case.
dare you?
He said, "Thank you so much. We've been telling the kids the same thing, and every voice that says it is helpful. And if you see the kids doing anything that's dangerous or bothersome, you let me know."
Did he
Okay.
really say
Yeah.
that?
Exactly as I'm standing here,
Okay.
okay?
Wouldn't happen in our neighborhood.
Well, because he loves his kids too, okay? So if I accused his kids of scratching my car, we might be in a little different story, okay? Because could have been happening anywhere, you know. But he loves his kids too. So he said, "Thank you. You let me know if you see them doing anything dangerous." All right? So I might have to say something to the parents sometime, you know, about something where I would see that what they're doing. There are all sorts of things that we've seen happen. I was a chaplain, it's the only one I'm gonna tell you about, but I was a chaplain at Lutheran General in Chicago. And a little boy was brought in, burned quite severely, named Michael Cherry, Jewish family. And I was on that evening for the emergency room as the chaplain, and little Michael Cherry had been running around the house after supper. Mom had made French fries in a deep fryer. He was chasing his sister. He was maybe 3 and his sister was like 5. Her foot caught the cord which was laid down by the side and brought all of that hot oil onto him. He died about a month later.
No.
Okay? Now, I have yet to see a frying pan with a handle over the edge of the stove that I don't turn
Oh, right.
and tell the story. Okay? Now, that's deep in my heart, deep in my anguish of what happened with that little guy. Can it happen again? No. Never happen again. It's never going to happen again. Happened once and it's never going to happen again on the entire earth. Right?
Right.
Wrong.
What world do you live in?
Yeah. Well, but you see, there are people who let their kids do stuff, or kids who do stuff that are dangerous and nobody warns them. Now, they can do what they want, but at least you ought to warn them. At least you ought to say, this is kind of a dangerous thing to do. Okay? And maybe you learn by hurting yourself and you say, I'm never doing that one again. Okay? But nobody makes it through without some of those things happening. But the wisdom says, maybe share that with someone else. Maybe let them know. And so we could go on with lots of different stories. But sometimes, well, I won't go on with the story except to say I got burned in a factory. And I was off work 2 months. And part of it was my fault, and part of it was the fault of the people who didn't explain to me what the danger was. Okay? And I found out the hard way. But the idea of being in the church. We're not telling stories from the Bible to say everybody be nice to each other. We're saying here's what the Lord did to change our heart, to give us a different motivation, to give us peace with Him, and to help us desire to be guided and led by others. So just a couple last slides as we get going with the second part of it. The Proverbs very often address what people would call moral formation, about what is honesty, what is diligence, a stitch in time saves 9, what is trustworthiness, the ability to hear and obey. In Hebrew, the word shama is both to hear with your ears and do with your body. So to hear and to obey is the same thing. It's not like I hear it and then I decide whether I like it or not. So to control one's appetites, true and proper speech, correct attitude toward riches and poverty. So those are some of the basic things we all see in life. So Proverbs accentuate the difference between the righteous and the wicked. It doesn't really do any more than say the righteous are the ones who are going to be supported by what God himself has done for them and given them. But you don't hear anything about salvation here. You know, this is much more about everyday kinds of things. But you'll see it at least 3 different times. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Now you have to read some into that because it, you know, it doesn't say anything about the God who brought us out of Egypt and into the promised land. None of those kinds of things. But basically addressed to those who are going to be making their way in life.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
According to my Bible, Solomon wrote most of the book of Proverbs, true or false?
One can't know.
Okay.
I say that because there are many people who think that what he did was send out people to assemble the wisdom of all the people. And so, you know, like, I will see people who are editors of books. So I think, wow, that person really, really knows a whole lot. And then I look and I realize that person went to 30 other people and said, would you each write a chapter for me? And so probably is very smart, but went to people who are specialists in their own areas and found that out. So does Martha Stewart write all her own cookbooks?
Janelle?
Absolutely. She would like to think that she does.
Well, the point would be if Martha Stewart writes a cookbook and somebody sends her a recipe, maybe she tries it or has someone try it, but does she have all of those ideas herself? Is that all out of whole cloth? That'd be pretty hard to assume because people are going to, I mean, the wisdom that's passed on from generation to generation is going to be there. I bet we have 100 cookbooks at home. Yes, Kathy?
I discovered a book I owned just this morning that I didn't know I had, and I was looking at it about Proverbs, and it said, maybe the earlier ones were Solomon and collected, but the actual book was probably not put together until post-exile time.
Yeah.
And they were saying that probably by people who were the intellectuals of the day, they call them sages,
Yeah.
across, in everyday life, the leaders and teachers.
Look at this. Look at the screen.
Yeah, does it say that?
The sages believe in an optimistic view of retribution.
Okay,
So,
I can't, okay, right, I can't read this, sorry. But anyway.
those are all guesses.
Yeah, are they?
They're all guesses. Nobody can know for sure. But if Hezekiah's people in the 700s say they gathered together some of the sayings of Solomon, that's 200 years after he died. So it says right in the text that there were things floating around.
It even mentions things though from the nations around and back into the wisdom of Egypt.
Amenemope, chapters 22 to 24. There is a 30-chapter book by Amenemope, or Amenemope, who is an Egyptian wise man. And many of the sayings in a particular section within chapters 22 to 24 are very similar to that. And so, you know, you can gather stuff from a lot of different places. And Jesus can take stories from places in the Old Testament and then apply them and use them. And so I think what we have to recognize is the important thing is God says it's okay to learn about daily life, to think about that as well. Realize I'm moving you to live an honorable life. I'm moving you to stay away from wicked things. Your life, as you make it, you're going to be making decisions that are good ones or bad ones. And think of the consequences, so particularly the action and the consequences. In the Old Testament, the consequences are built into the action. That's what's a little bit different. So it's not like I was speeding and the cop gave me a ticket and then the judge gave me a $200 fine. I was speeding and I jumped a curb and crashed into a tree. In other words, it's built in more. And a man named Klaus Koch wrote an an article on, is there a doctrine of retribution in the Old Testament? And if retribution means I get assigned a penalty, then he would say no. He would say it's built in. You can tell people how it's going to turn out. You don't know exactly when and exactly to the specific detail, but you know. So if somebody says, in our day and age, now, have any of you ever paid 12% interest on anything? I've paid 12% interest to Kathy's mother. When I borrowed some money, we borrowed some money from her when we were buying our house to pay off the rest of the equity in the house. I paid her 12% in a day when 19 was the going rate.
Right.
She gave me a good deal. If somebody said today, I can get you 12% interest every year guaranteed,
Say, no way.
huh?
Not gonna happen.
Run as fast as you can in the other direction. And when you look at the greed TV shows, American Greed,
You watch a lot
I
of
don't know
TV.
that.
I watch those things usually about 9:30 to 10:30 to 11 o'clock at night. After I come home, as I'm trying to calm down from people like you giving me trouble all day. Oh, I didn't say that.
I heard that.
It's good that you're honest.
If it was really true, I wouldn't have said it. But anyway, you know, you see some of those kind of things. I like to watch that just because I like to see how human nature works. That's why I watch Judge Judy once in a while. Just to see what in the world is going on out there and what kind of trouble are people getting into and what kind of squabbles do they have. I watch it because it's an interesting way to see a little bit about what's in the human heart.
Read Dear Abby, you'll find out
Uh,
the word.
I haven't read Dear Abby since Dear Abby died, but I read that. Yeah, all of the troubles that come to us. Well, reading Proverbs is not going to fix all our troubles. Okay, but there is a sense in which at least it says this is a good path to be on. Don't do the other way. You know the other way is going to be a bad one. This may not guarantee everything, but it sure is better than the alternate. And so don't be lazy and do nothing and then expect other people to take care of you and then grump and gripe and complain when they don't. Rather seek to be an honorable person and live an honorable life and be a good citizen. You know, and so a lot of this is just the dangers and the temptations that are there. But realize everything in here had happened so that it's being warned against or encouraged. It's sort of like if somebody says, some seed in the ground is like those who get caught up in the riches of the world. Well, our Lord knows that there are people going to be caught up in the riches of the world and leave the faith. So he tells us, I already know that. It's going to happen to you. It happened to me. So don't be completely surprised when it happens. So there's a kind of a cyclical nature to the foolishness of human beings and the troubles that come. And in spite of our best efforts, we can't always avoid it, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't have some sense about it. So wisdom brings success, and it's often righteousness, right behavior. Folly or wisdom or wickedness brings destruction. Sooner or later, you're going to get what's coming to you. Okay? Now, this is not the equivalent of that if you're a good person, God will reward you with heaven. Okay? This is just saying in our daily lives, there's an aspect for this as well. And people through all the ages. This is moms and dads and aunts and uncles and neighbors teaching their kids and their students and doing what they can to try to make some sense for them and hold out good options. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know why the heart is as it is. That's what I can't figure out. You know, why in a particular situation will one person go one way and one go another way, even in the same family? You know, why don't they all agree on that? But anyway, so final line: no wisdom can prevail against the Lord. Don't think you can outsmart God. Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. I'm gonna just read and make a few comments, and let's just listen to some of this now and see how he talks, since I got the idea that some of you maybe didn't get all the way through. For-
Do you know,
I heard
I was
that.
just saying, is train up a child in the way he should go and he will not depart?
When he's old, he will not depart from it. Yeah, but in the middle, you never know.
You know, I wonder, was that ever true? Because I don't think that really is true.
Well, again, you're,
You're supposed
I'll-
to do it.
well, I'll say it this way. It is much better for a family to expect that their children might live out the Christian faith as adults
Right.
if they take them to church every Sunday and have them hear the gospel, than to say, I'll let them decide for themselves when they grow up.
The first part, you still sit here and do
You-
it,
you
but
do
the
it
second
anyway.
part isn't really.
Well, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's the limitation of this. It says, well, here's the path. At least this is a good path to be on. This is a real bad path to be on.
You know, the other one that I remember too, it's something like, you can throw the dice or whatever, but the decision is the Lord's.
Yeah,
Where is that?
I'll have to look. I don't have Proverbs in my head
I
the way I do
used to
Isaiah.
like that a whole lot until hearing you in this class, and I thought, well, maybe not. But anyway, you still have to.
There, you have to take everything within its framework. Let's hear some of it.
Yeah.
The
okay.
Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel. For learning about wisdom and instruction, for understanding words of insight, for gaining instruction in wise dealings, righteousness, justice, and equity, to teach shrewdness to the simple, knowledge and prudence to the young. Let the wise also hear and gain in learning, and the discerning acquire skill, to understand a proverb and a figure, the words of the wise and their riddles. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. Hear, my child, your father's instruction. Do not reject your mother's teaching, for they are a fair garland for your head and pendants for your neck. My child, if sinners entice you, consent thou not. Okay, got to give you the King James on that one. If they say, come with us, let us lie in wait for blood. Let us wantonly ambush the innocent. Like Sheol, let us swallow them alive, and whole like those who go down to the pit. We shall find all kinds of costly things. We shall fill our houses with booty. Throw in your lot among us. We will all have one purse. My child, do not walk in their way. Keep your foot from their paths, for their feet run to evil, and they hurry to shed blood. For in vain is the net baited while the bird is looking on. Yet they lie in wait to kill themselves and set an ambush for their own lives. Such is the end of all who are greedy for gain. It takes away the life of its possessors. Wisdom cries out in the streets, in the squares she raises her voice. At the busiest corner she cries out. At the entrance of the city gates she speaks. How long, O simple ones, will you love being simple? How long will scoffers delight in their scoffing, and fools hate knowledge? Give heed to my reproof. I will pour out my thoughts to you. I will make my words known to you, because I have called and you refused. I have stretched out my hand and no one heeded, because you have ignored all my counsel and would have none of my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when panic strikes you. When panic strikes you like a storm, and your calamity comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, or the big bad wolf at your straw house. Then they will call upon me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but will not find me, because they hated knowledge, and did not choose the fear of the Lord, would have none of my counsel, and despised all my reproof. Therefore they shall eat the fruit of their way, and be sated with their own devices. Well, that's like stage 2 and 3. Okay, they got what's coming to them. Don't blame me that I hurt them. For waywardness kills the simple, and the complacency of fools destroys them. But those who listen to me will be secure, and will live at ease without dread of disaster. Now that pretty much slides into God talking, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds much like God is talking there. My child, if you accept my words and treasure up my commandments within you, making your ear attentive to wisdom, and inclining your heart to understanding, if you indeed cry out for insight and raise your voice for understanding, if you seek it.
We stop here. At the beginning, it's wisdom cries aloud in the street. She raises her voice, and isn't this still my son?
It's making wisdom personified.
But
like-
it's a she.
Yeah, Chokhmah, yeah. Well, hello. she rests her case.
Yes.
I'm just gonna go on. If you indeed cry out for insight and raise your voice for understanding, if you seek it like silver and search for it as for hidden treasures, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He stores up sound wisdom for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk blamelessly, guarding the path of justice and preserving the way of his faithful ones. Then you will understand righteousness and justice and equity, every good path. For wisdom will come into your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Prudence will watch over you, and understanding will guard you. It will save you from the way of evil, from those who speak perversely, who forsake the paths of righteousness, to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice in doing evil and delight in the perverseness of evil, those whose paths are crooked and who are devious in their ways. You'll be saved from the loose woman, from the adulteress with her smooth words, who forsakes the partner of her youth and forgets her sacred covenant. For her way leads down to death, and her paths to the shades. Those who go to her never come back, nor do they regain the paths of life. Therefore walk in the path, in the way of the good, and keep to the paths of the just. For the upright will abide in the land, and the innocent will remain in it, but the wicked will be cut off from the land, and the treacherous will be rooted out of it. My child, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. For length of days and years of life and abundant welfare they will give you. Do not let loyalty and faithfulness forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart, so you'll find favor and good repute in the sight of God and of people. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not rely on your own insight. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil. It will be a healing for your flesh and a refreshment for your body. By the way, this book and Psalms just seem to me too hard to try to do chapter by chapter. Okay, there's just too much diffuse stuff in here, so those are the only two books where I didn't do a chapter on every single one of them for the Old Testament. Verse 9 of 3. Honor the Lord with your substance and with the first fruits of all your produce. Then your barns will be filled with plenty, and your vats will be bursting with wine. My child, do not despise the Lord's discipline, or be weary of his reproof, for the Lord reproves the one he loves, as a father the son in whom he delights. Happy are those who find wisdom, and those who get understanding, for her income is better than silver, and her revenue better than gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Long life is in her right hand, in her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She's a tree of life to those who lay hold of her. Those who hold her fast are called happy. Now, people in stage 1 who have the wicked around them are going to be grumping about this. Wait a minute, I thought God said it'll be a great blessing for me, but it seems to me like my house just got burned down by the Babylonians. And so that's where Job comes in, and where the Psalms of Lament come in, saying, God made a promise, but sometimes the wickedness of other people get in there too. But that's not here. Just like we don't, when we're trying to teach, we don't let people know about every possible danger. We just try and encourage them to stay on a good path. The Lord by wisdom founded the earth, and by understanding he established the heavens. By his knowledge the deeps broke open, and the clouds dropped down the dew. My child, do not let these escape from your sight. Keep sound wisdom and prudence, and they will be life for your soul, and adornment for your neck. By the way, Alan, this is on, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Then you will walk on your way securely, and your foot will not stumble. If you sit down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. Do not be afraid of sudden panic or of the storm that strikes the wicked, for the Lord will be your confidence and will keep your foot from being caught. Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it is in your power to do it. Now, that's a hard one. That's the sin of omission. Okay? Do not say to your neighbor, go and come again, tomorrow I will give it, when you have it with you. A book of James picks up on a lot of these kind of things as well. Do not plan harm against your neighbor who lives trustingly beside you. Do not quarrel with anyone without cause, when no harm has been done to you. Do not envy the violent, and do not choose any of their ways, for the perverse are an abomination to the Lord, and the upright are in his confidence. The Lord's curse is on the house of the wicked, but he blesses the abode of the righteous. Toward the scorners he is scornful, but to the humble he shows favor. The wise will inherit honor, but stubborn fools disgrace. Listen, children, to a father's instruction, be attentive, that you may gain insight. Now this is father to child. It's any elder to youngsters. Okay, so teaching would be the same kind of thing. For I give you good precepts, do not forsake my teaching. When I was a son with my father, tender and my mother's favorite, he taught me and said to me, let your heart hold fast my words, keep my commandments and live, get wisdom, get insight, do not forget, nor turn away from the words of my mouth. Do not forsake her, and she will keep you. Love her, and she will guard you. The beginning of wisdom is this, get wisdom. And whatever else you can get insight. Prize her highly, and she will exalt you. She will honor you if you embrace her. She will place on your head a fair garland. She will bestow on you a beautiful crown. Hear, my child, and accept my words, that the years of your life may be many. I've taught you the way of wisdom. I've led you in the paths of uprightness. When you walk, your step will not be hampered. If you run, you will not stumble. Keep hold of instruction. Do not let go. Guard her, for she is your life. Do not enter the path of the wicked. Do not walk in the way of the evildoers. Avoid it. Do not go on it. Turn away from it and pass on, for they cannot sleep unless they've done wrong. They are robbed of sleep unless they've made someone stumble, for they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. Much of this sounds very much like what Amos talks about the wicked people, the very first of the prophets that we looked at. They can't wait to get up in the morning to act on the dreams they had the night before of hurting someone. Verse 18, but the path of the righteous is like the light of dawn, which shines brighter and brighter until full day. The way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know what they stumble over. My child, be attentive to my words. Incline your ear to my sayings. Do not let them escape your sight. Keep them within your heart, for they are life to those who find them, and healing to all their flesh. Keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flows the springs of life. Put away from you crooked speech, and put devious talk far from you. Let your eyes look directly forward, and your gaze be straight before you. Keep straight the path of your feet, and all your ways will be sure. Do not swerve to the right or to the left. Turn your foot away from evil. Now, these are, a lot of these are parallel verses as well, but they have a kind of an overall theme of this teaching. My son, be attentive to my wisdom, incline your ear to my understanding, so that you may hold on to prudence, and your lips may guard knowledge. For the lips of a loose woman drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil. But in the end she is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death, her steps follow the path to Sheol. She does not keep straight to the path of life, her ways wander, and she does not know it. So, don't go after those women who are attracting you. And now, my child, listen to me. Do not depart from the words of my mouth. Keep your way far from her. Do not go near the door of her house, or you will give your honor to others and your years to the merciless. This is more that Little Red Riding Hood type of story, okay, rather than just an individual Stitch in Time Saves 9 kind of thing. Verse 10, strangers will take their fill of your wealth, and your labors will go to the house of an alien. And at the end of your life you will groan when your flesh and body are consumed. And you say, oh, how I hated discipline, and my heart despised reproof. I did not listen to the voice of my teachers, or incline my ear to my instructors. Now I am at the point of utter ruin in the public assembly. Drink water from your own cistern, flowing water from your own well. Should your springs be scattered abroad, streams of water in the streets? Let them be for yourself alone, and not for sharing with strangers. Let your fountain be blessed, and rejoice in the wife of your youth, a lovely deer, a graceful doe. May her breasts satisfy you at all times. May you be intoxicated always by her love. Why should you be intoxicated, my son, by another woman, and embrace the bosom of an adulteress? For human ways are under the eyes of the Lord, and he examines all their paths. The iniquities of the wicked ensnare them. They're caught in the toils of their sin. They die for lack of discipline, and because of their great folly they are lost. So he says, using the word about the flowing water from your well, he's saying don't spread your seed around. Okay, don't be going to give it around to everybody. Keep it with your spouse, with your wife. Chapter 6.
Don't stray.
Don't stray. It may look good in the beginning, and it's going to be a train wreck in the end, even before they had trains. My child, if you have given your pledge to your neighbor, if you have bound yourself to another, you're snared by the utterance of your lips, caught by the words of your mouth. So do this, my child, and save yourself. For you have come into your neighbor's power. Go, hurry, and plead with your neighbor. Give your eyes no sleep, and your eyelids no slumber. Save yourself like a gazelle from the hunter, like a bird from the hand of the fowler. So, in other words, if you made a bad deal, try and go and undo it as quick as you can. You might get lucky and it gets undone. Okay, so, that's why you have like the 72-hour rule or something like that, with certain contracts and things. Go to the ant, you lazy bones, consider its ways and be wise. Without having any chief or officer or ruler, it prepares its food in summer, gathers its sustenance in harvest. How long will you lie there, O lazy bones? When will you rise from your sleep? A little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. And poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like an armed warrior. A scoundrel and a villain goes around with crooked speech, winking the eyes, shuffling the feet, pointing the fingers, with perverted mind devising evil, continually sowing discord. On such a one calamity will descend suddenly, in a moment, damage beyond repair. There are 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 that are an abomination to him, which shows what hate means. It's just really put off by. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that hurry to run to evil, a lying witness who testifies falsely, and one who sows discord in a family.
Is it 6 and 7 because God doesn't hate a person?
God does not hate people.
Is that why it's 6 and 7?
What do you mean 6 and
Well,
7?
there's 6 things he hates, but 7 that are detestable.
The 7th one is always the crowning one.
Well, I mean, seeing a person is the reason why I say that. The last item is a person.
I think it's just the highest one is the last one. So they'll list a whole bunch of them, and the one that would be the worst of the whole bunch is someone who makes trouble in their family. Okay? So the other ones are all outside the family. This last one is right within it. Stay away from that. My child, keep your father's commandment. Do not forsake your mother's teaching. Bind them upon your heart always. Tie them around your neck. When you walk, they'll lead you. When you lie down, they'll watch over you. When you awake, they will talk with you. For the commandment is a lamp, and the teaching is a light, and the reproofs of discipline are the way of life, to preserve you from the wife of another, from the smooth tongue of the adulteress. Do not desire her beauty in your heart. Do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. And not much change, has it? How many ads have I skipped over for those big black long eyelashes? Those I don't watch, Jim. I go to a different channel then as soon as I see that. For a prostitute's fee is only a loaf of bread, but the wife of another stalks a man's very life. Can fire be carried in the bosom without burning one's clothes? Or can one walk on hot coals without scorching the feet? So is he who sleeps with his neighbor's wife. No one who touches her will go unpunished. Thieves are not despised who steal only to satisfy their appetite when they're hungry. Yet if they are caught, they will pay 7-fold. They will forfeit all the goods of their house. But he who commits adultery has no sense. He who does it destroys himself. He will get wounds and dishonor, and his disgrace will not be wiped away. For jealousy arouses a husband's fury, and he shows no restraint when he takes revenge. He will accept no compensation and refuses a bribe, no matter how great. So the other woman's husband is not going to exactly deal well with you. What I also get into, just as I'm telling my story about my life, is all the stuff about forensic files. You ever watch Forensic Files?
Nope.
Well,
I don't watch as much TV as you do.
yeah, well, you don't have as much time as I do. I don't have all the sports channels. But, most of the case, it's, why did the woman kill her husband? He was gonna divorce her, and there was $1 million at stake. So, get rid of him. And then they're never smart enough to outsmart the forensic people who say, if you shoot yourself with a gun and then you have blood spatter on your hand, something's wrong. And then when you have gunpowder on top of the blood, and something's wrong.
And you were left-handed.
And you were left-handed, yes. Yes. But anyway, a lot of this is the kind of stuff of human disagreements about these kinds of things, or human lust and that kind of stuff. It's been going on for a long time. People ask me, are things worse today than they used to be? I saw somebody the other day who said, with all the social media, we just know more about what's going on everywhere. Which which we wouldn't have known if we were just out on the farm somewhere and didn't have a radio or anything. Chapter 7, my child, keep my words and store up my commandments with you. Keep my commandments and live. Keep my teachings as the apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, you are my sister, and call insight your intimate friend, that they may keep you from the loose woman and from the adulteress with her smooth words. Must have been a real problem there, huh?
Yeah.
And here's Mr. 300 wives and 700 concubines talking. For at the window of my house I looked out through my lattice. I saw among the simple ones, I observed among the youths, a young man without sense, passing along the street near her corner, taking the road to her house in the twilight, in the evening, at the time of night and darkness. Then a woman comes toward him, decked out like a prostitute, highly of heart. She's loud and wayward, her feet do not stay at home, now in the street, now in the squares, and at every corner she lies in wait. She seizes him, kisses him, and with impudent face she says to him, I had to offer sacrifices, and today I've paid my vows. So now I have come out to meet you, to seek you eagerly, and I found you. I have decked my couch with coverings, colored spreads like of Egyptian linen. I perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until morning. Let us delight ourselves with love. For my husband is not at home. He's gone on a long journey. He took a bag of money with him. He will not come home until full moon. With much seductive speech she persuades him. With her smooth talk she compels him. Right away he follows her and goes like an ox to the slaughter, or bounds like a stag toward the trap, until an arrow pierces its entrails. He's like a bird rushing into a snare, not knowing that it will cost him his life. Now, my children, listen to me. Be attentive to the words of my mouth. Do not let your hearts turn aside to her ways. Do not stray to her paths. For many are those she has laid low, and numerous are her victims. Her house is the way to Sheol, going down to the chambers of death. Chapter 8, does not wisdom call? Does not understanding raise her voice on the heights beside the way? At the crossroads she takes her stand, beside the gates in front of the town. At the entrance of the portal she cries out, to you, O people, I call, and my cry is to all that live. O simple ones, learn prudence, acquire intelligence, you who lack it. Hear, for I will speak noble things, and from my lips will come what is right. For my mouth will utter truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. So all of this stuff over and over again is saying there is a right path to be on. If Adam and Eve hadn't sinned, this would be coming naturally. Once Adam and Eve sin, we can't always tell what's in our heart and whether it is taking us in the right direction or the wrong direction. All right, so this says, listen to some other people, listen to when dangers come, listen to when troubles come upon people, and at least you've got a fighting chance then that something will go okay for you. Verse 8, all the words of my mouth are righteous. There's nothing twisted or crooked in them. So wisdom, once again, is talking as if it's a person. They are all straight to one who understands, and right to those who find knowledge. Take my instruction instead of silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold, for wisdom is better than jewels, and all that you may desire cannot compare with her. Just remember that Satan, as the father of lies, is called Lucifer. Okay? Light bearer. It looked good for food and was a delight to the eyes. Temptation always gets us in trouble because it always...
Chapter 7, verse 14. I had to offer sacrifices, and today I have paid my vows. Is that to a pagan god? That
I would assume so.
Prostitute?
I would assume so. Yeah, the Baal and Asherah. But nobody knows much about the details of what their worship actually was. But she's done something where she says, now I'm free, now I can party a little bit. Chapter 8, verse 12. I, wisdom, live with prudence. I attain knowledge and discretion. The fear of the Lord is hatred of evil. Pride and arrogance and the way of evil and perverted speech I hate. I have good advice and sound wisdom. I have insight. I have strength. By me kings reign, and rulers decree what is right. By me rulers rule, and nobles all who govern rightly. I love those who love me, and those who seek me diligently find me. So it's almost as if wisdom is personified as an actual woman who's, and the idea is, don't go after the loose women who are going to just get you in trouble and their husband is going to shoot you dead or whatever. But follow me. Be allured to being honorable, to seek knowledge and wisdom. I'm sure that Socrates would have been pleased with this. That would have been what he would have talked about. The unexamined life is not worth living. Think about things, figure out the right way to do things. But he also, and Plato talks about this in the Republic, they don't trust the world to democracy. Most people are so selfish, don't trust them. Find just a few people who maybe are a little bit smarter and are not thinking just of themselves, and let them be the leaders, and don't ever make any of their kids leaders, because their kids are never going to be as good as they were. Just find a few people, an oligarchy they call that. So Plato's Republic, he didn't think a whole lot of democracy, and of course we've heard that line quite often. Democracy is the worst governmental system in the world unless you compare it to everything else. Verse 18, riches and honor are with me, enduring wealth and prosperity. My fruit is better than gold, even fine gold. My yield than choice silver. I walk in the way of righteousness, along the paths of justice, endowing with wealth those who love me, and filling their treasuries. The Lord created me at the beginning of his work, the first of his acts long ago. And so this is often connected with the Spirit of God as well. That the Spirit of God is the wisdom of God. You'll see some of that in the Gospel of John also. 23, ages ago I was set up at the first before the beginning of the earth. When there were no depths I was brought forth. When there were no springs abounding with water. Before the mountains had been shaped. Before the hills I was brought forth. When he had not yet made earth and fields or the world's first bits of soil. When he established the heavens I was there. When he drew a circle on the face of the deep. When he made firm the skies above, when he established the fountains of the deep, when he assigned to the sea its limit, so that the waters might not transgress his command, when he marked out the foundations of the earth, then I was beside him like a master worker, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing before him always, rejoicing in his inhabited world and delighting in the human race. What this is getting at is wisdom is the equivalent of order. God built us to live in an orderly way, what we're going to have in eternity, what we have already now as a gift from God in any sense of the word. We don't think like, I never worry that somebody's going to come down and shoot me dead here. We look and we see that by and large there is a place where people somehow in their head have some idea of enough of right and wrong that the terrible things that happen are the exception rather than every day. And that most people bind themselves to saying, we'll try and live in this relationship with one another. But the wisdom is another way to talk about order. How is it built so that it works right? And so here, wisdom personified says, God built the world to work. And I'm instructing you when you hear from those who teach you about a way that things will work, that the best, the good of what can be. 32.
Just a little thing on verse 22. You said the Lord created me at the beginning of his work, and my version said the Lord possessed me at the beginning of his work.
Yeah,
which is even closer to with the Lord, not a created thing, but.
Yeah, well, possessed, created says God starts out with making order out of chaos. And wisdom and order are together.
But it's, I guess possessed shows
I don't
that
like
it's
the word.
not
I
separate.
don't like the word possess.
Separate from, it's not separate.
That'd be
from
separate
God.
from God, rather. Yeah.
Okay.
Now my children, listen to me. Happy are those who keep my ways. Hear instruction and be wise. Do not neglect it. Happy is the one who listens to me, watching daily at my gates, waiting beside my doors. For whoever finds me finds life and obtains favor from the Lord. But those who miss me injure themselves. All who hate me love death. You can see if you just read Proverbs over and over again that you're not going to look for Jesus as a savior, but just try on your own to be the right kind of person. Because it's not, well, God will bless me if I figure out the right way to do things. That's why we have to wrap everything within the framework of cross and resurrection and sin and grace. This is a nice general standard. I'll be truthful with you. And in chapter 8 is a very well-known chapter on wisdom and the order and everything there. But this is not the book I turn to very often. Okay, I turn much more to those things that are going to tell about what God has done and how he settles us as sinners and redeemed sinners. It's not really a whole lot about sin and grace here. But it has its purpose, it has its place. And to just say, okay, how can we learn some things about life? The last of the chapters on the kind of longer things here, then chapter 9. Wisdom has built her house. She has hewn her 7 pillars. She has slaughtered her animals. She has mixed her wine. She has also set her table. She has sent out her servant girls. She calls from the highest places in the town. You that are simple, turn in here. To those without sense, she says, come eat of my bread and drink of the wine I have mixed. Lay aside immaturity and live, and walk in the way of insight. So just in what we've heard here, you've got 2 women. One who's trying to attract the young guy to go have sex and have the husband come and whop and kill him. The other one that says, hey, come here. There's a different kind of life, a different kind of a desire to have, where you want to be an honorable, good person in what you are doing. Whoever corrects a scoffer wins abuse. Whoever rebukes the wicked gets hurt. A scoffer who is rebuked will only hate you. The wise one rebuked will love you. Give instruction to the wise, and they'll become wiser still. Teach the righteous, and they'll gain in learning. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and we get it again. And the knowledge of the Holy One is insight. For by me your days will be multiplied, and years will be added to your life. If you're wise for yourself. If you scoff, you alone will bear it. The foolish woman is loud. She's ignorant and knows nothing. She sits at the door of her house on a seat at the high places of the town, calling to those who pass by, who are going straight on their way. You who are simple, turn in here. And to those without sense she says, stolen water is sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But they do not know that the dead are there, that her guests are in the depths of Sheol. Then just a little taste of the random. I have to make sure I leave enough room for chapter 31 yet. But chapter 10, a little bit. A wise child makes a glad father, but a foolish child is a mother's grief. Treasures gained by wickedness do not profit, but righteousness delivers from death. The Lord does not let the righteous go hungry, but he thwarts the craving of the wicked. A slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. You see how this is the back and forth, kind of like a ping pong game, but there's no kind of connected thing like this woman calling or this woman calling. And I think the wisdom as woman has much to do with the contrast with a prostitute or with some woman who is trying to lead someone astray. So that the womanness of wisdom is much simply as a foil for the womanness of the one who's trying to make trouble for the young innocent guy. A child who gathers in summer is prudent, but a child who sleeps in harvest brings shame. Blessings are on the head of the righteous, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. The memory of the righteous is a blessing, but the name of the wicked will rot. The wise of heart will heed commandments, but a babbling fool will come to ruin. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but whoever follows perverse ways will be found out. Whoever winks the eye causes trouble, but the one who rebukes boldly makes peace. The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. Hatred stirs up strife, but love covers all offenses. See how much is but this, this, or else this. On the lips of one who has understanding, wisdom is found, but a rod is for the back of the one who lacks sense. Mr. Kiefer and Mr. Bussy and Mr. Rickard understood that very well, and Mr. Grody. Teachers don't get to do that anymore. The wise lay up knowledge, but the babbling of a fool brings ruin near. The wealth of the rich is their fortress. The poverty of the poor is their ruin. By the way, the 4 men that I mentioned are Dale's and my teachers in grade school. Okay. The wage of the righteous leads to life, and the gain of the wicked is to sin. Whoever heeds instruction is on the path to life, but one who rejects a rebuke goes astray. Lying lips conceal hatred, and whoever utters slander is a fool. When words are many, transgression is not lacking, but the prudent are restrained in their speech. The tongue of the righteous is choice silver, the mind of the wicked is of little worth. I like that one. I had a student once. He came up to me, he said, you know, Dr. Trapp, you and I are the same. You're actual, I'm potential. I said, come back when you're actual and let's talk. You did it, I'm gonna. Come back after you've gone and after you did something. Those are the ones that want to call me Tom, you know.
Oh, yeah.
The lips of the righteous feed many, but fools die for lack of sense. The blessing of the Lord makes rich, and he adds no sorrow with it. Doing wrong is like sport to a fool, but wise conduct is pleasure to a person of understanding. What the wicked dread will come upon them, but the desire of the righteous will be granted. When the tempest passes, the wicked are no more, but the righteous are established forever. I like this one here. Like vinegar to the teeth and smoke to the eyes, so are the lazy to their employers. The fear of the Lord prolongs life, but the years of the wicked will be short. See, now that's the problem. That's one of the problems, because Manasseh, the wickedest of the kings, lived 55 years, and Josiah, the best of them, died at age 39, I think it was. That's when they say, wait a minute. And then you have to get into stage 1, 2, 3, and 4 and overlay that on this basic knowledge. And find a lot of people went to stage 2, the way of the wicked, and God finally stops them. The hope of the righteous ends in gladness, but the expectation of the wicked comes to nothing. The way of the Lord is a stronghold for the upright, but destruction for evildoers. So if I wanted to translate that, I would say, love the Lord with all your heart and soul and mind and strength, because he gives you the power. Love your neighbor as he has loved you. So look at people and say, this is someone Jesus gives me to love, to express my love for him. The righteous will never be removed, but the wicked will not remain in the land. The mouth of the by the way, verse 30 is a good definition of stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. The righteous will never be removed, stage 1 and 4, kind of. The wicked will not remain in the land, 2 and 3. Okay, so you've got the whole thing, reading of the whole Bible. Finally, God will cleanse all the wickedness off the earth and restore it. The mouth of the righteous brings forth wisdom, but the perverse tongue will be cut off. The lips of the righteous know what is acceptable, but the mouth of the wicked what is perverse. Well, I'm going to skip into chapter 11, verse 22, just because I like to laugh at it. Like a gold ring in a pig's snout is a beautiful woman without good sense. That's the answer to this one about, well, why wouldn't we say wisdom was connected with okay. Chapter 15, a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. And all of these, they continue. I hope maybe I've given you at least enough oomph to go and read it once in your life. I'm going to go to chapter 31, verses 10 and following. This is a very nice way to end it with another description about wives and the blessing that they are. So chapter 31, verses 10 and following. A capable wife, who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm. All the days of her life she seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from far away. She rises while it is still night and provides food for her household and tasks for her servant girls. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hand she plants a vineyard. She girds herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She's not afraid for her household when it snows, for all her household are clothed in crimson. She makes herself coverings. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the city gates, taking his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She supplies the merchant with sashes. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her happy, her husband too, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her a share in the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the city gates. Well, next week, can I borrow your assignment here? Just a second. Not just roof.
No, there's 3 of them, I know.
Really?
Yes.
No. There are 4. Ruth, Song of Songs, Lamentations, and Koheleth, which is also known as Ecclesiastes.
Thank you.
Okay? Kahal is the Hebrew word for a gathering. It's another word for a temple. So Koheleth is, or the preacher is what Luther called that, Ecclesiastes or the preacher. So, 4 of the 5 books of the scroll, the Megillot scroll, we're going to do next week, everything but Esther. And these were 5 that were read at certain festivals. So we'll look at each of them in the light of the festival at which they were read. Esther being the last one in February, we'll get to with Daniel the week after. We had to chop it up somehow. So once we get into Esther and Daniel, we're going to find that the Greek version of those books had some extra chapters, some extra prayers in Esther, a couple extra chapters in Daniel. And so in the Roman Catholic version, those would all be in their proper places. If you have a Bible with the Apocrypha, they will have those printed in a separate place. But anyway, so Ruth, Song of Songs, Lamentations, and Kohelet, it's on the front page here. Okay, so that's what you have to follow and what you're going to be looking at. All right?
Yep.
All right, is that right? Is that right?